So on the other side of the break, recording artist Curly Locks tells us why he's not so sure about taking the COVID vaccine, and he's not the only one. So we've got the director of the Rastafarian Millennium Council, Maxine Stowe, on Zoom to have a word with folks against the vaccine. Morning, Maxine. Welcome to Smile Jamaica. It's morning time.
Morning.
How are you? Welcome, welcome.
Tell me how you feel personally about the vaccine, if you personally will take it, if you have taken it, and why, if you would.
Well, I was unsure about it in the beginning of the whole, discussion in relation to how quickly the vaccine was, being produced. But then I did the research on the RNA. It's a particular type of research that they had been doing previously. I guess they predictably knew that these types of viruses would be, coming on the human population. So, there's always a lot of research going on behind the scenes. But really what moved me towards the vaccine protection is, my family's in New York, and I saw what was happening in New York City, and the impact that it had there, particularly on my mother. And, a lot of people were dying that were close friends in the elderly. And a lot of my mother's close friends actually died, and they died because they lived with younger family. And, she said to me, she took the shot recently too, that also impacted on my, thinking that she felt that she survived because she was the only one in the home. No one was coming in and out.
Okay.
So I know the seriousness of it. I know that it's a very complicated and very quick impact on us, but we have to, figure out the protection. And so it's more political decisions that are going on in terms of, pharmaceutical companies. As most of the rich countries have, taken up most of the vaccines. When you see who doesn't even have access to the vaccine, it's very stark, it's very frightening.
Absolutely.
That, being in a... Go ahead.
No, absolutely. You're making a fantastic point. The question I was going to ask you, because I realize that we might have some viewers who might be asking, what is the Rastafarian Millennium Council?
Yeah, the Millennium Council actually is an organization that was focused on protecting the intellectual and cultural property rights of the Rastafari community. Because so much of the culture is being commercialized without any benefit, mostly, to the Rastafari community, but also changing a lot of the principles that the community holds dear, So it's an organization that was formed in 2007 around the Ethiopian millennium, thus the name Millennium, with an ability to engage international laws that had been coming in to protect indigenous peoples and indigenous cultures. So it's really, centered around protecting and promoting the core cultural rights of the Rastafari community.
Okay, thank you.
Why are you concerned about persons in the entertainment industry?
Repeat that for me.
Why are you concerned about persons in the entertainment industry who might not necessarily want to take the vaccine?
Because of their impact on a very suspicious and population, and as African people, not just here in the diaspora, this is happening right across the world, where colonial people who have been subjected to colonial domination and the legacies are the ones that are actually at risk because, as in reparations, our health has already been impaired through this legacy. We don't trust government. And yet now it's a double-edged sword against us because we are not trusting or researching enough the information to make, independent analysis.
So are you coming out, I'm sorry to jump in, but are you coming out officially and saying that they should take the vaccine?
Yes, what I'm saying is that the vaccine is a vehicle. Vaccination is a vehicle to put antibodies, to fight disease. What we would like and what I've been promoting is the choice. I saw that Cuba, which I respect very well, the Cuban health system over the years, and Cuba as a country, is developing about 4 different vaccines. And I felt that we should have the choice, you understand, to understand, like, okay, why can't we get the Cuban, vaccine or be aligned with them? Or if there are any other indigenous medicines that we should be taking, natural medicines to ourselves, because even when the vaccine alone is not going to protect you, you're still going to have to build up your immune system. You're still going to have to live, with the disease for a period of time. So it's not a cure-all. It's something that you have to, especially in a urbanized situation where we live so closely together, you know what I mean? Like there's so many things that are against us that we need to be thinking deeply, not just reacting. We are a culture that are anti-vaccine in general, right?
And Maxine, allow me to interject for a second. We realize that a lot of our Rastafarians are at the forefront, some of the most recognizable faces within the entertainment industry. And you just mentioned the fact that choice is a very important thing. For those that might be against the vaccine, which is completely within their right and their choice, do you foresee that being an issue for bookings and traveling within the entertainment sector?
Yeah, definitely. It's already, they're having events now that you have to show that you have been vaccinated to actually buy a ticket. Wow. You know what I mean? They're thinking internationally how this is going to roll out. So because even though this is happening, it's going to take a year or 2 to some kind of normalization. So there's going to be a whole bunch of people who are vaccinated, and there's going to be people who have resisted. And so you're already seeing this type of, vaccination passport, not just to travel, but to be in close contact with people, because people, they don't want to have an event and then hear that, X people got outbreak. Absolutely. Like you're a super spreader event.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Have you been vaccinated?
Not as yet. I mean, I don't have any ability to be vaccinated here in Jamaica because they just got a couple doses. And, it's not clear how it's going to roll out. And I am investigating through the Cuban embassy how, and where that vaccine is aligned and how, we can get access to it.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. Great to see you. And stay safe, please. God bless.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Director of the Rastafarian Millennium Council, Maxine Stowe. Only to say that I know the travel world was suggesting that you don't want to say if you don't have a vaccine, you can't travel, because there are countries, as she just said, who won't be vaccinated. Mm-hmm. Even in Jamaica, we were saying that 65% of the population will be vaccinated in a year by next March. So you're going to have some Jamaicans who just won't get the vaccine. And they're saying you can't really stop people from going from one place to one place because they're not vaccinated. So I don't know how that's going to work out. But that was a great question, because some people are saying, well, if you're not vaccinated, don't come here.
Right. Well, and that's the delicate line right there, because we're talking about choice. We're talking about people having the right and responsibility and the autonomy over their bodies to say whether they want to or not. But then if we're going to put in infrastructure and we're going to create systems that basically say, hey, if you aren't, you won't have access to certain things.
Then you really don't have a choice.
Then really and truly, choice becomes a word that
that's
really,
what they were saying.
That is really what it is.
I think it was the United States president or someone came out and said you shouldn't do that. You don't need a vaccine passport to travel, Because if I decide I don't want it, are you suggesting that I can't leave my country?
But I understand, because imagine if you are trying to reset and recover in terms of as a country, and you're trying to, set your economy and everything. What you don't want to do is put in all the efforts and allow persons who, say, I don't feel like it, and then all of a sudden you have an outbreak or you have another pandemic, and you have to deal with it. It's a rough conversation.
Yeah.
We hear the flip side on the other side of the break. It's a tough discussion. Tough.
Terry will have
decision.
that interview soon. Come, stay with us, please.